something that we've all experienced. LLMs letting you down, or in my case, a code editor letting me down. So one of the things that I've often experienced happening is that something changes. Either it's the LLM or it's the way that the code editor interacts with the LLM. And all of a sudden, you're in a situation where things are no longer working. Now, I have a very real example of this. So when Set went from their per token business model to actually having per prompt and agentic mode, the system completely stopped working for me. And this was really, really frustrating. I lost several days of working time just because of this, just because that their editor all of a sudden changed their behavior completely. And so I've actually recreated that for us here today. And I want to show you what that looks like. So here I have a small project that I'm working on. It's called OneUp UI. So it's a UI framework written for you in Rust. And I've created a new empty file here. And I've taken an older version of Set, compiled it, and started it up. I've created a context with examples of what the project looks like. And I'm using the text thread. And if I now go in here and ask it to implement a text editor, you'll see it starts out writing some things that looks very, very specific because they are very specific to my project. So it has been looking at these files and realizing, okay, I need to have this theme provider. If that's not there, I need to get the brand guide. If it is there, I need to use brand guide instead. And if we take this code that it's now generated and we compare it with one of the example codes that I gave it, you'll see that there's a great similarity. Like, it definitely gets all of the same things. It realizes its U components it has to implement. So all of this looks great. However, the problem here is that this is an old version of the editor. The newer version, which I have right here, again, working in exactly the same directory with exactly the same file, exactly same context. If we now repeat the same prompt here and say, could you implement a text editor for me? What will happen is you'll see something completely different. And let's just wait for this to finish. But maybe you can already see it doesn't have the macros that we just saw a second ago, and we can already take the comparison here, just for the sake of it. Right. And so this is the newest, or at least the newer version of Set. So this is Set preview. And you can see all of the things that are in the examples, like the feature with the provider, how to get the brand guideline, how to get the theme provider, all of this stuff, it just ignores completely. And it goes ahead and it just hallucinates some wild things about what it should be doing. So it implements a text editor with a struct, which has nothing to do with a U component. And this is massively frustrating. As I said at the time when this actually happened to me, when they made this transition, I lost several days of work and I got so frustrated that I forked Set and made an old version of it that works the way that I'm used to. Yeah. And so also if we take the thing we have here and just compare it to what the other one generated, right? You'll see, let's just put some Rust on here. You'll see that it's completely different things. Like over here, it's not a U component. Whereas here, it's a U component. It has all of the right things. Like, these are completely different things. And the thing on the left-hand side coming from the newer editor is just outright wrong. It's not what I asked for. And it's not how I would expect it to work. So this brings us back to a very, very big problem, which is how do you get your LLMs and your workflow to be super reliable such that you can achieve really high velocity and not be dependent on some random editors, random updates in their context. Like, clearly this is some issue with their context where they have shuffled things around and it no longer understands what the project scope is. Maybe they're not using text threads anymore, then they really ought to remove it from the UI. Maybe they're doing something else, I don't know. But the bottom line is that these kind of things can ruin your workflow. And as we've also seen in previous videos, context pollution and outdated knowledge are other factors that might go and kill your productivity. So this was really just what I wanted to share with you. I wanted you to see an example of how an update in a code editor can be for the worse. And if you sometimes feel like you're going insane, that's not necessarily the case. It can very well be that it's just your code editor that's not behaving the way it used to. With that said, I hope you have enjoyed this short live stream and that you subscribe to the channel. And in any case, join the community on community.troels.im